And I guess when we are talking about correlation, we should also mention, we have filled a green board with various kinds of things. So let's put it this here. It's important to distinguish between correlations of that type and causation. This is also a very important concept in observational inquiry. So when you say something like smoking correlates with cancer, you're not saying smoking causes cancer. When you say smoking causes cancer, it goes beyond correlation. So there's a difference between smoking causes cancer and cancer causes smoking habit, or some gene causes both smoking behavior and cancer. That's causal relations could be different, and you need a different kind of inquiry for investigating causation.
Yeah, so here you wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't say height causes age.
No.
That doesn't really make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
You might say age causes height, but
to some extent, you might say that height depends upon age.
Yeah.
But age doesn't depend upon height.
Yeah.
The same thing about the shadows. The shadow, length of the shadow depends upon length of the object. But you don't say length of the object depends upon the length of the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you know the length of the shadow, you can calculate the height of the object.
Backwards, yes.
But it's weird to say that it causes.
That's right. So when you have correlational studies, sometimes people use the word dependent variable. So when you say shadow, length of the shadow depends upon height of the object, you're saying shadow length is a dependent variable. It depends upon the height. That's a good concept to know, but we are not going to look at all those things in great detail. This is just to give a broad picture of what we mean by observational inquiry. Is there anything that we have left out? Should we go through some examples?
Yeah.
One second, you talked about inexactness. You in passing mentioned approximation. Are they the same thing? Roughly?
Yes, in the sense that when you say something like Madhav's height is 6 feet, that's an approximation because it need not be exactly 6 feet. It could be 6 feet 1 inch or 5 feet 11 inches. That also applies to these correlations.
So approximation is very similar to inexactness.
Yes.
So what's the difference? Inexactness applies in
So
observational reports, for example.
Yes.
And approximation, when you talk about approximation, that comes into observational generalization. Is that the difference?
But it's the same thing.
Well,
yeah.
Whether it's an observational report.
If you say that I am 6 foot, that would be an approximation. The region of inexactness would be 5'11" to 6'1".
Right. No, the point is, so inexactness applies to a particular data point, and approximation to the population or to the entire sample or something. Is that?
But it's the same thing. So we could use the same word for both.
Yeah.
Okay.
The concept is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take some examples of observational inquiry. So actually we did talk about a few cases of observational inquiry in our distinction between scientific and mathematical proofs.
Yeah.
All these are examples of observational inquiry. Let's take a question. Here is the story. There are two people. What would you like to call them? Let's say brother and sister.
Miko and Jomo, my favorite.
Okay. Miko and Jomo. Miko is the sister and Jomo is the brother. And they plant some chili seeds, and the plants grow and chilies appear, and then they discover that the chilies are not hot. And Miko's hypothesis is that chilies are not hot because of inadequate water. And Jomo's hypothesis is that chilies are not hot because of inadequate sunlight. Okay, the question would be, how do you design an experiment? How do you design an experiment to find out whether Miko is right, Jomo is right, or maybe both are right, or maybe both are wrong?
Okay. So here we are trying to establish what the cause, right?
Yes, this is a causal hypothesis, not a correlational hypothesis. What could be the possible cause?
Okay.
And this would be a very interesting experiment to do, but maybe we shouldn't go through that experiment. We should leave it to people to think about what kinds of experiments they can design to do that.
Okay.
So that could be an example of observational inquiry that comes under experimental inquiry. That should we take one more example? Okay, here's another example. Does Tulsi tea cure common cold?
Okay.
How will you design an experiment
To show whether this one.
to address this question?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the introduction, we also had questions about whether astrology works, and we also had questions about whether homeopathy cures various
That's right.
diseases and
That-
so on.
that'd
That would be similar to.
That would be very similar to this. That's also an experiment design.
Yeah.
Right. Again, we will leave it to
Yeah.
Our
And we
viewers
come to it maybe.
we'll come
at
back.
some
Yeah.
point.
But these are interesting questions to
Yeah.
pursue. So this should be sufficient for a rough idea of what observational inquiry means.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think next we'll be moving on to a break from science to mathematical inquiry,
Okay.
and then coming to
We'll come back
theoretical
to-
scientific inquiry.
Theoretical scientific inquiry after mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay. So till then, bye.
Bye.